This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I answer your questions. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with Guns' question. How concerned are you about the left tackle position? We're getting close to the season. We've yet to see Jed or Jack practice. Also, it seems like Hudson is getting abused by Miles in practice, but that's Miles. How concerned should we be? If James Hudson wasn't getting abused by Miles in practice, I would be concerned, because why isn't Myles Garrett destroying James Hudson? Like, that should be something that he should do. And also, when you see Miles on James, it's usually in one-on-one. It's usually in situations that you would never really leave James Hudson in if this were a real game and they had to structure a game plan around James Hudson being it. So I wouldn't even use this as a good reflection on what James Hudson would look like, because I would assume they would do more to protect James Hudson in a game than they are right now in practice, where they're just trying to get shit up and running. As far as, like, is it too close to the season? Is it starting to get to that point to where you start to be concerned? I would say if we don't hear anything about Jed and we're heading into that last preseason game, there's time to be concerned. But there is that entire week before the game and after the preseason where he could get healthy. It seems like they're being more precautious with him than actually, like, can't have him play right now. So I think Jed will be back in time. I think he'll probably be back. I don't want to put a timetable on it, but he'll be back. I'm not worried about him missing games at this point, but we'll see what happens with Jed. I give it a week or two before I start to panic either direction about that. But yeah, I mean, you obviously don't want to go up against Micah Parsons with James Hudson. But also, if Jed's not healthy, it's really the only solution. You got to just throw your backup at him. There's really no great answer to that. Mr. Objective says, Q, if Deshaun doesn't ball the way people expect, do you think there's a chance they use that first on a rookie QB, or do you think they go get the vet route like the Steelers with Russell Wilson? The only way the Browns are going to go with this is with the rookie quarterback, because Deshaun Watson is finishing that contract. Like, it's already paid for. He's going to finish that contract. So he's going to start this year. He's going to start next year, and he's going to start the year after. The next 3 years, Deshaun Watson will be your starting quarterback. If they decide that they want to move on from Deshaun, that's going to be reflected by them drafting a quarterback in the first round. But yeah, for the next 3 years, Deshaun Watson will be your starting quarterback. But if he doesn't ball the way, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a quarterback for them that they like, that they would take him. And that's just kind of how Andrew Berry rolls. He's going to always look for ways to cut the cap down, to get in the best situation from a salary cap perspective. And one of the ways you can get in the best situation from a salary cap perspective is if you are playing on a rookie contract at the quarterback position. And if Andrew Berry sees somebody he thinks can provide that kind of value in a year or two while being under a rookie contract, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Even if Deshaun Watson is playing well, that's going to be something Andrew Berry considers if it comes across him, or if the opportunity comes across him. He's always going to be looking for those kind of opportunities, especially since Deshaun Watson in 3 years would be 32. Is that right? 32? Yeah, he's 29, 3 years. He'd be around 32-ish. Jeremy Long says, Q, do you think that Teller and more would be enough compensation, including a draft pick for Ayuk? Also, do you think it would be better to keep Coop, possibly re-sign him next year, make a splash, get T Higgins? They are not getting T Higgins in free agency. I hate to break it to you. This ain't happening. Unless the price for T Higgins drops dramatically, it ain't happening. I don't believe the Browns are going to be a team that's going to spend $35+ million on a wide receiver. Now, if the price for T Higgins tanks to like 26, they'll do it, right? But at 35, no. At 32, no. At 31, maybe, but probably not. I think that price has to be 25, 26, 27, maybe 28. It's the highest they're willing to go. But the Browns aren't going to get in a bidding war in free agency over T Higgins. That's not the move you want them to get into, right? Like, there is solving a problem, but there's being so desperate to solve a problem that you put yourself in a bad spot. Don't Tobias Harris yourself. And when I say don't Tobias Harris yourself, here's what I'm referring to for those of you who don't know what I mean by that. The 76ers could have had an opportunity to build around somebody like Jimmy Butler with Joel Embiid when they traded for Jimmy Butler, but they wanted to extend Tobias Harris, so they extended Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris is a good player. Tobias Harris is an above-average player. But Tobias Harris is not a difference maker. But since they signed Tobias Harris to this big-ass contract, they were locked into Tobias Harris, which means they could not make moves around Joel Embiid because they had Tobias Harris. Don't Tobias Harris yourself, right? If you're going to put that big money down, you want to put that big money down on either a quarterback or one of your own players. But you don't want to spend that. You don't want the highest paid player on your team to be a non-quarterback free agent. It's not a good idea. The highest paid player on your team, it's fine if it's a player that you have and you don't have a quarterback, or it's fine if it is your quarterback. But if that highest paid player on your team is a non-quarterback free agent, unrestricted free agent, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It's not how winners are made. And even if we're talking about your highest paid non-quarterback, you don't really want that dude to be a free agent. Like, that's not a great position to be in. Mike Walk says, is there a chance the Browns target CeeDee Lamb if they don't get Ayuk? Yeah, I mean, there's a chance they could target him. Is it going to make sense for them? I doubt it. CeeDee Lamb more expensive than Brandon Ayuk. I think he's better than Brandon Ayuk. I would rather have CeeDee Lamb than Brandon Ayuk. So, yeah, I mean, there's a chance they target him, but I don't know if the price is going to be right. But they'll look into it. You know, you'll hear they're around it. But I don't know if the price is going to be right. And I think that's the biggest issue. Kevin Harlan Forever. It's a wild name to go by. I didn't know Kevin Harlan had stands, but hey. Good for Kevin Hart. Do you find it strange that Mike Vrabel is coaching up players but will not be on the sidelines on game day? No. All right. The next question is from William, who says, will Barry keep going until he gets a number one wide receiver? Probably. Let me give a real answer to the last two questions. Is it weird that Mike Vrabel is on the sidelines helping out? No, that's really not weird. That happens all the time. He is a special assistant, right? He is a advisor or whatever. He's just here to help out, right? He might be there on on the sidelines during home games sometimes. He might not. He's not really doing things that are integral to the operation on game day, so he doesn't really have to be there. He's just kind of like hanging out. He doesn't want to be out of football, right? So he's still hanging around football during the camp, and maybe he wants to be around football during camp season, right? You know, everybody got their own reasons for doing what they want to do. This might be what he wants to do, and this is what he's doing. And if he's on the sidelines, cool. If he's not, it's really not that big of a deal. We don't really care what advisors are on the sidelines when they're not famous. So I don't think it matters now because he is famous. I think he's just here to help. And we would do ourselves a lot. Just enjoy that we got Mike Vrabel here kicking it. Like, I just think we should just enjoy it instead of making a conspiracy every chance we get about the dude being here, or trying to find a conspiracy every chance we get about the dude being here. And will Barry keep going until he finds a number one wide receiver? Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, right? Now that doesn't mean that Andrew Berry's just gonna be reckless and spend a ton of money to get a number one wide receiver, but he's always gonna be on the search, and whether that be in the draft, whether that be in free agency, he's gonna find a way to fill that role, or with trades like he did with Amari Cooper. He's gonna find a way to fill that role, or keep searching. I think that's kind of his job. The next question is from Gavin, who says, what do you think our receiver room will look like since Cooper is likely gone? Do you see us going for a big trade or looking to draft to develop young guys? I mean, you got some young guys on the roster already. Jamari Thrash, David Bell, Cedric Tillman. There's still a lot of hope there for Cedric Tillman. It's not 100% guaranteed that Amari Cooper's not coming back. I mean, there's incentive there for the Browns to bring him back, especially if they have a good year this year. And I'm inclined to believe if the Browns have a good year this year, Amari Cooper's probably coming back, right? They'll probably work something out for a year. I think Amari wants to come back, and I think the Browns wouldn't mind if Amari came back. I just don't think they want to lock themselves into anything past 2027. But if it looks like this team's going to contend for the next couple of years, then they're going to be more willing to sign somebody like Amari Cooper for the next couple of years. So, yeah, I think that I don't think it's done. I don't think it's 100% out the window that Amari Cooper does get brought back on an extension next year, or they work out something at the end of this season or something like that. So, I think there's a lot of different ways it can go down. Jordan Smith says, if Chubb produces this year coming off of his knee injury, will he be a Brown for another 1 or 2 years? I'm pretty sure Jimmy Haslam is committed to making sure that Nick Chubb retires here as a Cleveland Brown. He just seems super invested personally in Nick Chubb, and I think that makes Nick Chubb somebody who's not going to be going anywhere. Not to say that Jimmy Haslam's going to force the Browns to keep him if he shouldn't be on the roster, but as long as it makes sense to keep Nick Chubb here, if Jimmy Haslam seems to be championing the guy, then he's probably going to be very safe in his job security, and his ability to retire as a Cleveland Browns. Is Andrew Bailey willing to spend another $25 million on a single wide receiver in 2025? Yeah, I think they'll be willing to spend that. I think that's a price that they're fine paying, if they feel like the player is worth it. I don't think the issue is how much money they want to spend. I just think the opportunity has to be right. But that's going to be it for you guys' questions. I want to thank you guys for asking them. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.